Hi, I'm Laura Brandenburg from Bridging the Gap, and we help business analysts start their careers. And today I want to share a really important technique with you around business process modeling and how to analyze a business process. Because when you're trying to figure out, what problem you're actually solving as a business analyst, it's really important to know what the business process is. It helps you look at what is the need, what is the scope, what problem should we even be solving with this process. And you want to do this in both a visual way and a textual way. And we're going to talk about how those work together. Now, you might not be a business analyst yet. We help a lot of people get started. If you're in a software development role, this is a great technique to use to understand the business perspective of the technical or the software that you build. So how does the business actually use this software in the bigger picture? What are all the steps that they might do before they use your software, and what are the steps they might do after? Helps you see how your software fits into their day-to-day workflow. And now if you're a subject matter expert or somebody who's hoping for technology improvements to the work you do every day, using this sort of analysis can really help you fully articulate what you do day to day and how that work flows, so that when you're talking to a developer or a business analyst about the enhancements you want to a system, you can be very clear about how that process flows today. You might find opportunities to improve it even just by analyzing it as well, which is always a win-win. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about what a business process is, as well as what are the key sections in the template that we teach at Bridging the Gap in terms of how to document and analyze a business process in a very clear, very complete way. So just to kind of lay the groundwork, a business process is just a step-by-step sequence of events that is performed by a business user to achieve a specific goal. Right? So you want to know, what's the desired outcome? What's the goal? What's the thing that happens at the end of this process, right? And then you back engineer, what are all the things that have to happen to achieve that goal? And all of those steps go into your business process. And some of those steps could be manual, they could be on a spreadsheet, they might be on a sticky note on the user's computer, the business person's computer. They might be using software. So those steps are not limited to what the software sees, unlike a use case, which is very limited to the software. It's very all-encompassing. What are all the things they need to do? Even if that's like getting up and walking over and talking to somebody at the desk next to them, that's the kind of information that you want to capture in your business process. Now, one important thing is they can have variations and exceptions. So we're not always doing the same sequence of steps. One way that comes up for us at Bridging the Gap is when you register for one of our courses online, when you go through our online shopping cart, the system automatically will create a course registration for you and send you an email with that course registration information and your login details, so you get access right away. And that process works beautifully for the majority of the registrations we have, which are one person paying for one course at a time. But every once in a while, we have teams invest in our training, or a manager who wants 2 or 3 people on their team, or a business analyst who gets the person next to them to join with them, which is awesome, and they'll pay for multiple course seats at once. And then the system doesn't work so well. It works well. We actually have a manual process, then a workaround, so that you send us the names and emails of those people, and then we will, within a day or two, set up access to all of those course participants. So an example of when you have a main process and then variations. It's the same goal, right? The same outcome. Each individual course participant is getting their registration information, but there's a variation to it when something triggers that variation. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we go through the sections. So I have some notes here because there's a lot of sections actually, and I want to make sure I don't miss something. You don't have to take notes. You can if you want, but you can actually download the template we have for free, and that will walk you step by step through each of these sections we're going to talk about, so you can get started right away plugging your own information in about your business process. So if you want to get that, that's at bridgingthegap.com/BP template, and don't forget those hyphens in Bridging the Gap. There should also be a link below this video as well for you to grab that. So the first section of our template is our statement of scope, or our purpose. So this is like, what is this process? You want to name your process, and you want to start your process name with a verb. So it's not our course purchasing process or our course participant process, right? It's our purchase course process or give access to course process, right? It's very specific on the outcome. You want to identify the scope of the process really clearly. You want to identify when that process starts and when it ends. And then you want to talk about the desired outcome of the process. It's a little different than the purpose, right? Because there's a lot of reasons that we can execute a process. We can get really ingrained in how we do it here, or that's just how we do it, right? Well, why are we doing this process? Like for Bridging the Gap, we have a course registration process because we want to help people improve their skills. And because we are a company and we're a revenue generating company, right? And those two things go hand in hand, right? But that's our why behind a course registration. If we did not have course registration online, we would have it through the phone or we'd have it through fax way back in the day, right? It's an essential business process to delivering the value we're here to deliver, as well as receiving the revenue that allows us to be a profitable company that expands and grows and helps more people. So what's the desired outcome of the process that you're considering? And then you're going to go step by step through the process or activity description. So step by step, what are the things that a business user does? And sometimes you'll have multiple business users. So then you want to be clear about what the handoff is and who is doing what by using different actor or role names. After that, you have the exceptions. So as I mentioned, we have a primary path for when a course participant just purchases one, and then we have an alternate path or an exception path if multiple registrations come in through at once. And so you want to be able to handle those sort of variations and specify exactly what happens differently when you have a variation. Another thing you might have are business rules. So for us, a business rule is when somebody purchases more than one course participant or registration at once, we will have them set up with access within 2 business days. Often our team is amazing and often it happens like within hours, but our business rule is 2 business days, right? So you can have a business rule that a business user has to support, and a lot of times we have business rules that are built into our systems that our system actually enforces for us. So in a business process, you could talk about either of those kinds of rules. The other thing you have in a business process is your entry criteria and your inputs. So entry criteria is what must be true before the process starts. So in the course of our course registration, you must have access to an online system, right? You must have a valid credit card. All those things must be true. And the inputs is a little different. The inputs is what do you have in place, right? So what are you tangibly bringing to the business process? So actually valid credit card would be more of an input, right? So you'd have an input of a credit card, or maybe if you were buying a course and getting approval in your company, you might have an input of, an approval document of some sort that allowed you to use that credit card, something like that. So it's like a tangible input. Our sales material and our marketing material for our courses could be considered an input for that process. And then on the reverse, you have the exit criteria and the output. So what is true, or what has to be true when that process is complete? Like the process is complete, when the course the course participant is set up and has access. And then what's the output? In our case, the main output is that email that gets sent to the course participant with their login information. And so that's an output of the business process. And finally, you might have a process flow or a workflow diagram. And this is that visual model. And often you will have the visual model that accompanies your textual process. So all of this information that we've just been talking about can be modeled both visually and textually. And it's really important to look at it both ways, and you want to have those 2 types of information essentially side by side so you can see the visual. Often the visual is going to be a little bit higher level of information, and then see the text, which has the more detail. So again, you don't have to remember all of these details. We have for free for you the business process template. It's below, so you can start using this right away, getting started without a lot of roadblocks. It's one of the 13 templates that we include in our Business Analyst Template Toolkit. We're just happy to give it away for free. The toolkit also has corresponding work samples and a guidebook, so there's a lot more in that as well, but the template we can give for free to you today. So I just want to talk a little bit more about this difference between the textual model and the visual model, because one thing we see with our course participants is like they'll just send us in like the visual model and be like, this is it, right? This is all I usually do. And a lot of business analysts really only do process flow diagrams or workflow diagrams, and they consider that a complete business process model. So what happens though when you start going through the text is that, and especially start applying some specific guidelines about how to phrase those activity descriptions, what goes in the entry criteria versus the inputs, it really forces you to think through the process at a more granular level and dig deep. And this is how you don't miss steps. This is how you uncover like the stakeholder jump from here to here. And like when you're lining that up on a process flow diagram, it's kind of a lot of times a little easy to just like skim over the fact that that connection actually doesn't make sense. When you're writing it out using the template, often you'll say, oh, wait a minute, there's a gap here that I didn't see, or I don't know who the actor is, right? Or I don't know this piece of information. And so the template the textual view really helps you dig a little deeper as a business analyst and uncover gaps and ask really smart questions, which is what we all want to do, right? Look smart even though we don't actually know the process ourselves. It helps us ask really smart questions. So that's why I'd encourage you, if you haven't before, check out how to actually document the business process textually in addition to that visual model that goes along with the textual model. Okay, and again, when you want to get started with that, go ahead and download our template, totally free, and we want to help you get started at bridging the gap, because that's our mission. We build our profession one business analyst at a time. Success starts with you, and we are here to help you start your business analyst career. Again, I'm Laura Brandenburg from Bridging the Gap. Happy process modeling.